Boruto to Blue Vortex Chapter 8 starts with Ada looking at Boruto and Mitsuki's conversation, specifically where Boruto says, "I'm your son, it's that simple." And then Ada's kind of like, "Whoa, Boruto, you're so cool." And then in comes Kawaki going like, Ada, hurry up, tell me where Boruto is right now." And Ada's like, "Oh yeah, give me a second." And then she goes, "He's in the woods somewhere." And then he's kind of like, "All right, Delta, you're with me." And they go flying after Boruto. And then we get to Boruto and Shikamaru talking to one another, and he's basically explaining the Ten Tails or the Divine Trees. And Shikamaru's like, "Darn it!" He's kind of talking about it like, "Oh snap! If they absorb all the chakra, aren't we done for? Like, we're dead, aren't we?" And then Boruto's like, "We're not there yet, Shikamaru, okay? But we could be if we don't stop them. If they eat me or Kawaki, they will evolve into that full divine tree and absorb all the chakra from the planet and produce a chakra fruit and stuff like that." And so Shikamaru's just like, okay. So then Kawaki communicates to Shikamaru via mind transmission jutsu with the sensory unit, and Shikamaru's like, "Ino, if I talk to Kawaki at the same time talking to Boruto, I don't want Kawaki to listen in on the call." And Ino has to explain that the mind transmission jutsu is one linked. They're not all combined into one. So only Shikamaru will be able to hear Kawaki and hear Boruto. So Kawaki won't be in on their conversation. So he goes, "Okay, put him through." And Kawaki's basically telling him that, like, "I know where Boruto is, I'm going after him." And Shikamaru's trying to, like, calm him down or get him to stop. He's like, "He's strong now." And then Kawaki's like, "So am I. I'm going after him." And so we see that happen. And so then we see a claw grime running through the woods. And then we get, well, basically, we got Boruto getting ready to... What's the right word? Shikamaru tells Kawaki not to go after him. And then he says that out loud so that Boruto is aware that Kawaki's basically going after him. And so then Boruto's kind of like, "All right, I'm out of here, Eighth Hokage. We'll be in touch. I'll help you out as best as I can." And then he uses the Flying Raijin to get out of the village. So now Kawaki going after Boruto is kind of like, whoa. Where is he? Where'd he go? I don't feel his presence. And then Delta's like, "Well, maybe he felt your presence and went away." But it's like, no, that couldn't have been the case. We would be able to sense each other, but I didn't sense him. Ada told me where he was. So he left before he even noticed I was coming his way. And so Kawaki's kind of like thinking about it. He's like, "That's so weird." And he starts thinking about Shikamaru. So the way that the panels are set up is Kawaki's kind of like suspicious, like thinking about it, and then it cuts to Shikamaru. So Kawaki is basically suspicious that Shikamaru knows, basically told Boruto he was coming, and that's how he got away without sensing Kawaki. That's basically how it goes. So then we cut to Ada and Mitsuki talking about love. And to give you the abridged version, Mitsuki's basically talking about how he's thankful to Ada for teaching him love or making him feel that emotion, and how he also loves Kawaki, like that's his sun, you know what I mean? His bright shining sun that illuminates him. But then once he started to question it, he started to feel like, I don't know, maybe I might lose this thing that I care so much about. And so I stopped kind of thinking about whether or not it meant anything to me, if Kawaki was really my son, I stopped thinking about it because I didn't want to lose it. And so Ada is kind of drawing comparisons to herself, or Mitsuki is drawing a comparison between himself and Ada, is that like, she has feelings for Kawaki, not because of his personality or how funny he is or how kind he is or like anything, basically anything about Kawaki, other than he's an Otsutsuki who she could have feelings for. So she stops thinking about all of the bad things that he is, or how he doesn't pay attention to her, how he doesn't really care about being in a relationship with her. She still loves him, and that she's kind of this naive kid or girl who's just in love with being in love. Like, she wants to be loved, right? She wants to find somebody that she genuinely loves that isn't a part of her charm ability. And so she's kind of like, well, it's not the same as me and you, Mitsuki, is that like, you love me because of my charm ability, not because it's genuine, not because it's real. It's a false love. What I have for Kawaki is real, is the real thing, she claims. She says it is the real thing because that's what love is. It's illogical. There's no reason behind it. Kawaki doesn't have to do anything or be anything. He doesn't have to be kind to me. He doesn't have to be nice to me. He doesn't even have to like really care about me or spend time with me or go on dates or anything. I still want to be with him because when I think about him, my heart beats faster and I get an adrenaline rush, and it's just like everything about it, you know? And that's what love is what they're basically implying. So Mitsuki's kind of drawing a comparison to her and him, and then Ada kind of dismisses it because her charm ability affects him, and so on and so forth. So then she gets another glimpse at Boruto talking to Mitsuki, being like, I am your son. And she's kind of like, I would very much like to talk to Boruto. And so after what they just talked about love, and then she looked directly at that, it kind of may or may not imply that, again, just like Mitsuki had about Kawaki, about like fear of losing something, or actually having love for Kawaki, him being his son, but he was wrong about it and dismissing it, and then replacing it with Boruto, so could Ada. You know, there is that line between the two of them. So then we get the claw grime running, and the Shinju come out of the claw grime and then arrive at Konoha. So they're here in the Hidden Leaf Village, and Ino and Shikamaru are talking, and Ino's basically saying that, like, do you believe Boruto? Everything that he's talking about, Naruto being alive and the Divine Tree people and all of this stuff. And Shikamaru's kind of like, I don't know. We'll have to figure out and see. But then they get the alert from the sensory unit that the Shinju have arrived, and they're picking up a chakra signature. One is unknown, the main one, and then the other one is Sasuke Uchiha's chakra. So then Sarada kind of is like, Dad? And so now everybody's kind of like curious, like, Sasuke Uchiha's back in the village. He's a traitor to the village. And so the Shinju are starting to like, all right, this is the Hidden Leaf Village. Cool, you know what I mean? They're enjoying it and stuff like that. But then they get confronted by like shinobi at the gate, or like right in front of them. And Ada tells Shikamaru, she calls him, or like hits him via mind transmission. She says, I saw them earlier. I didn't say anything because, well, you know, Bug had like noticed her, and then she was looking at Boruto and Mitsuki and all this other stuff, so she didn't report it in. And then the shinobi get killed. They get impaled through the stomach by the Shinju. They use like a tree jutsu, or the wood style, to stab them, and then they keep on walking throughout the village like nothing happened. They're like, da 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 da, let's go find Naruto, da 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 da. And so the Shinju show up at a bookstore. The main one is kind of like, hey, take a look at this bookstore. This is a hidden treasure. And the other one is like, so is Naruto in here? Naruto Uzumaki? And then the other one is like, I kind of like how you said that with a straight face. And then out of nowhere, Kawaki swoops in and starts attacking them. He uses his rods, like the Sukuna Hikuna rods, to attack them, and they dodge it. And then they start getting to a little fight. They use their wood style to trap him, and then he shrinks out of it using Sukuna Hikuna. He tries to fight them, but then the main one just goes like, I'll kill you later, Otsutsuki, so stay down. Punches him one go, hits him all the way to the water tower, and then he knocks out. He's done. Just one hit. And so then the Shinju sense where Naruto is. He's like, I know where he is. And he's like, how do you know where he is? And he says, because I am a Biju. I'm the Ten Tails. And I can sense somebody else who's a Jinchuriki holding a Biju in him. Holding one of the nine-tailed beasts inside of him. So we'll be able to go and track him down. And then they land right in front of Team 10 and Himawari. And they kind of have this puzzled look on their face, like confused. And they're like, now this is strange. I thought we came here for Naruto Uzumaki. Why are we here in front of you? And it's a panel of Himawari just standing there doing whatever. And that's where the chapter ends. So they were going to find Naruto Uzumaki because he has the nine-tailed fox's chakra inside of him. But they don't find Naruto. They find Himawari instead, which basically means that Himawari has the nine-tailed chakra inside of her. She has something to do with the nine-tailed fox. And that means one thing, Kurama is still out there. He's still alive, still a part of Himawari. He's not gone completely. And that's like a huge victory. That's a huge deal. So, moving the story forward, it's obviously the Shinju showing up in the village. Action, Kawaki gets his ass beat. One punch hit KO. I thought that was really funny. And it's like, you know, Kawaki he just got knocked out by Mitsuki and his venom, and then he gets punched in the face by the Shinju. It's kind of like, get a win, do something. And then in terms of characters, we learned a little bit more about Mitsuki. We learned a little bit more about Ada. Shikamaru gains knowledge about the Divine Tree, and I think we just learned a little bit something more about Himawari. There's some mystery in the air surrounding Himawari. Next is the overall world, or like the Hidden Leaf Village itself, or like the world of Boruto, I guess. The Shinju show up at the Hidden Leaf Village, so that's a huge deal to the world. They're the villains. They're somebody who could like kill or destroy the whole planet. So the fact that they show up at the village is a huge deal. And then the ending is really good. It adds a lot of mystery. There's a lot of theories and things that could be related to it. You know what I mean? Himawari has the Nine Tails chakra inside of her. That's a big deal. So overall, I give the chapter a 7.8 out of 10. I thought it was really good. Small amount of action towards the end with Kawaki versus the Shinju. I did like the conversation between Mitsuki and Ada. It gave them a little bit more in-depth look, and I think that the next chapter is going to be really interesting, because now that the Shinju are here, things are going to get crazy. So we'll have to see. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching. Yeah,